How many of us have ever felt stuck, hopeless, in this downward spiral that we just can't keep, how many of us have ever felt hopeless, like we're stuck and there's no place to go? We don't know what our next move should be. I want to tell you that you don't have to live there. You don't have to live in that state. We can get ourselves unstuck. Whether it's we're focusing on the big things like what our life purpose is, what our why is, what we were made for, which is a pretty big decision and plan that we can feel stuck on, or whether it's smaller things like I want to lose 15 pounds, I want to get a girlfriend, I want to start going to a bathhouse more often and sitting in I want to activate a sauna more often, which are obviously the small things. We can quite often get hung up on these things and just stuck and paralyzed and not move anywhere. And what happens is it all happens neurologically. It happens with our brains. And it starts with our beliefs. And our beliefs, which were formed by decisions that we made either consciously or unconsciously 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, depending on how old you are things that are consciously and unconsciously in our brain. And they're sitting there. And they create our thoughts, which are ultimately create emotions within inside us. And those emotions cause us to act a certain way, and those actions create results. And thus the results further give more meaning and power to the beliefs that are in our head. So the first thing that has to happen is we have to be conscientious of the decisions that we're making. Conscientious of what it is we actually want to accomplish. And once we make different decisions, we can change that belief, because a decision is simply a belief. Believe it or not. I'll give you a little story here. So I had just gotten divorced. I had been through the ringer with that, and I'd been going to therapy, and I had really gotten myself to a point of which I really wanted a relationship. I wanted somebody to enjoy the things I was doing with, enjoy my life with. And I'd gone on a few dates, and I was just like, this is awful. This is terrible. The outcomes were not good. Let's put it that way. The action steps I took were okay, but the outcomes were terrible. And I gave up for a little while. And it turns out I was just looking for it in the wrong areas. I was asking myself the wrong questions. My belief that there are no good girls left, anybody who I'm actually dating I can't trust them. And the moment I started to change my thought process to where can I meet somebody? What can I do to be better for the other person? Where is my type of partner going to be? And as I started to ask those questions, I started to become more open. And the one day I went to, I was actually down in Florida training some of my NHL guys, and they were like, come to the pool after we're done today, just come. And I was in no mood. I was like, I'm not going. I was going to go back right into the same action that I always did, because when we have this certain feeling, these feelings force us to do one of two things. They either force us to move and take action that's going to create a positive result, or it causes us to soothe. It's either going to take us towards pleasure or away from pain. Okay? The unknown can be pain, so we move over to the soothe area. Like if I don't want to do something that scares me, I'm going to take the path less traveled. If you go to the gym and you're scared to go, you're going to do something that soothes you. You're going to probably eat or drink or take drugs, something that soothes that pain of anxiety and uncertainty. And that's the path that I went down for a long time. And these guys were like, no, we're going to change that action. They didn't know that it had scientific proof and would lead to something, but they ultimately got me to go. And I went to the pool that day, and I'm still at this point trying to change the questions I'm asking myself. And all of a sudden, I get introduced to this girl. And I have a conversation with her. And my God, at that moment, I knew this is my person. This is amazing. And that person is now Elise, who we share a home with, we share a business with. Someday, hopefully, we'll share a ring with. But besides the point, I changed my actions. I changed my beliefs. I made different decisions. And thus it elicited a different emotional response, which changed my actions and changed the outcome, changed the result. And that is what we need to do foundationally. That is fundamentally at the core. We need to be honest and aware of what's going on within our body, within our decisions that we're making, and change those. We have that control. A lot of times people are like, it's so hard to change your belief. It's so hard to change our beliefs in something. It's hard to change something if we don't know what they are. And when we reframe it to they're simply decisions of maybe when you were a kid, you heard your parents arguing about money, and so you automatically assume that money, if you have money, or money, talking about money, it creates arguments. Or maybe your parents were divorced and relationships equals pain. So any decisions you make are shaped around that, and that's what you're gonna act upon. So the moment that we change and reshape the decisions we make, that's the moment that we start to see different results and seeing different actions. So getting yourself unstuck in this position that you're in, whether it's the next business move you need to make, your relationship, your wellness, your health, your diet, your nutrition, we need to take a step back and we need to be honest with ourselves and think about, okay, what decisions have I made that have gotten me here? What belief do I have? Is it that if I'm staying up at 9 o'clock at night to do work, that I have to have a pint of ice cream to do that? Or is it that I don't want to go out on dates with people because I have the possibility of getting hurt? We have to change our mindset, change the decision, and take that step forward. I've done other videos in the past of your businesses, how to get from A to B, and transitioning from your job that you're in to your actual purpose and where you're wanting to live at. And when we are completely able to make that decision and be conscious of that, all of a sudden we become aware to all the possibilities that are out there. We become aware, we get into that performance state, and we really can start to drive from our passion, our energy, our heart, and that is where we start to see success, is in that performance state. That primitive state, we live in anger, we live in anxiety, we live in this uncreative feeling of like the weight of the world is on us. And the moment we switch over into that performance state, man, we are burning in all cylinders and we are working and we are absolutely, it seems effortless. We're in that zone and that's where we want to live. And to get there, it's simply a change in decisions. So with that, I want you to get unstuck permanently. I want you to be able to identify the process and the system of which to do that. And that's identifying what decisions you have, what beliefs you have, so that we can make new decisions, create new beliefs that influence our thoughts, ultimately our emotions that create different feelings and get us different results. With that, let's go own it.